Hello guys, this is Tip the Tech Guy. In this video, I would show you how to set up a VPN to work with your TrueCharts applications using OpenVPN. This is super necessary if you have a torrent client like QBitTorrent, or if you're like me, you can do crazy stuff like have multiple instances of the same application but set to different locations in the internet. Like in my case, I have multiple instances of Mozilla Firefox, one connected to the US, another connected to the UK, and one more to India. This is awesome for when you want to get airplane tickets at an awesome deal, or if you want to bypass download limit restrictions, or if you're a web developer and you want to test some features of your website within different regions. This is just perfect for you. Now in this video, I would show you how to have VPN set up for all VPNs, not just CyberGhost, but our main focus is going to be on CyberGhost because it is usually difficult to set that up. It requires a few steps, not difficult. Actually, it's going to be easy and it's going to be so much fun. So let's begin. All right, so let's go to the desktop, and as you can see here, I have on my right our web user interface for our TrueNAS, and then on my left you can see my cheat sheet. Let's not look at that for now, but you can see here that I have multiple instances of Firefox as I mentioned before. Now if I open them, you can see I have here the one for the US. It shows the location being Illinois. The one for the UK shows location as London. Funny enough, the one for India shows the UK for some reason. It feels like it's lost, but it is India, trust me. So yeah, like I'm going to show you how to do this. Of course, the first thing we want to do is we want to discuss the things we are going to need, right? To set up OpenVPN with TrueCharts, we will need the following information. This applies to all VPNs regardless of the provider. So the first thing we are going to need is authentication username and password, right? And then the second thing we're going to need is an OVPN configuration file. The third thing we would need is an accessible data set where the OVPN file can be stored. And then finally, the IP address for your network and for Kubernetes. Luckily for us, this scary looking one is very easy, right? So as you can see here, I mentioned IP address for your network is quite simple. It is 192.168.10/24. That is mine, right? And the way I get this is by just copying this, removing 247, replacing it with 0, put a slash, and then put a 24. And I'm going to demonstrate this again later, so no need to worry. The IP address for Kubernetes is always going to be the same, so I have that here as well. When we need it, all we will do is just copy and paste it. So as you can see, it's not a lot of information that we need. We just need 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we are done. We already have our VPN running, right? So how about I install an application for TrueCharts? Let me just quickly do that. We would install another instance of Firefox because I just love Firefox. It's really cool. So we install another instance of Firefox by searching Firefox up there. Because I have multiple instances of Firefox, let's just name this one test. Now it does not like capital letters, right? So you always want to use small caps. So here you go, test. And then I would also need to change my port number because I have multiple instances of Firefox. I want this one to be unique so that I can open it anytime I want. So I'm just going to change this to 6, and then I'm just going to save it. So those are the only things that I'm changing. For you, if this is your first instance of Firefox, you actually don't need to change anything. Just download it and install it, right? And don't change anything at all. And that is a really good idea because you want to make sure that the application is working on its own without any changes before you start adding changes to it. That way it makes it very easy for you to troubleshoot whatever it is that is happening, right? What if there's a problem with the application and you didn't even know about it because you added your configuration at the same time as the time you were downloading it, right? So it's always a good idea to always install the application first before you make changes. That's a pro tip for you. So now we are waiting for our application to deploy. Once it has deployed, we will check to make sure it is running. All right, and this applies to any application that you have. So if it is QBitTorrents that you have, make sure it is running successfully. So how do I do that? I'm just going to click open, and as you can see, it is opening just fine. It's opening just fine, right? So I'm going to just put here my IP address. I want to find out what my IP address is. So what is my IP? When I put that here, it's going to show you guys what my IP address is, as it has been provided by my internet service provider. Right now, I am going to hide this and show you guys only the first 2 digits, because I don't want you guys to know my IP address, sorry. And the reason why we want to know this now is because at the end of this video, if we have successfully added a VPN to this application, then our IP should be different. And that is how we would know that we are successful. So for those who want to do this application on Qubit Torrent, you're going to go like Joe or Tip. How do I check what my IP address is? It's not like I have a browser and I can just go to Google and check it, right? I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's just go back to our TrueNAS. This is our test application. I'm going to click on these 3 dots. I'm going to go to shell and I'm going to click choose. Now when you do this, it's going to bring you to the shell of the application, right? Basically you are running commands within the application. So over here you just want to write a command curl space ip.me, enter, and that should give us our IP address. As you can see, is the same as what we have here, right? So that's how you're going to check if you have a Qubit Torrent application, right? So we can see that our app works very well. We are able to access the internet. We are able to tell what the IP address is. So we know everything is good. Now we can go back to our applications. We can hit this button. We can click on edit and we can make some changes on our application. Actually, we are not going to make any changes. I'm going to show you where this information is going to go when we eventually get it. That way you have kind of like focus on where we are going so that the video doesn't seem too confusing. It's still going to be easy anyways, even if it's confusing, so don't worry about it. Anyways, so I'm going to scroll down to the VPN part of our configuration file. Now it's always hard for me to find this, so I just use Control F, type VPN, and then it takes me there quite quickly. So this is it. So if you want to set up VPN for a TrueCharts application, this is where you're going to do it. You're going to go to the config, you're going to search for VPN, and you're going to come here, right? And what you do is to enable it. Now remember, what type of VPN are we doing in this video? OpenVPN, right? So we are going to select OpenVPN. It says deprecated. It's still gonna work, don't worry about it. So we select OpenVPN, then immediately we are met with the first information we are going to need. So as it mentioned, it says here authentication username. Now this username is not the same username you would use to log into your VPN provider's website. This is a special username that would be provided to you separately, and you're going to see it shortly. No need to worry at all. So if we were to have a username, sorry, let's just say this is our username. Immediately I type it, there is a request for a password, right? So we put a password here as well. Then we can move on to the next thing. Here it says enable kill switch. Now this is always enabled by default. If it isn't, you can enable it, and we would add 2. So let me just put a fake password here. Okay, then we would add 2 instances, right? Now these instances would take our IP addresses that I mentioned in item 4, right? The first IP is going to be our local IP, our network IP. And remember how we get that? We just take the numbers here, which is our IP address here. We take 247 away, we just put a 0 there, we put a slash, and then we put a 24, right? So if you have a different IP address than mine, just make sure you do it just the same step. It's not very difficult, right? You just take all of this, you remove 247, you replace it with a 0, you put a slash, and then you put a 24, and that becomes your local IP. You want to put that right here. And then we want our Kubernetes IP address. Our Kubernetes IP address is always going to be the same. So you just simply copy this as well, and then you put it here, and that is all you need to do, right? So we already know we have item number 4, so don't worry about it. So we put that information here, and finally the last thing we are going to need for VPN is to put in our configuration file location. So as you can see, it says here VPN config file location. Now this is what we call the ovpn file, right? So as you can see, I mentioned it here as item number 2, our ovpn configuration file. Now that file, we will find it on the website when we go to our VPN website. Like in this case, we'll be doing CyberGhost, right? So we'll go to CyberGhost website. There's going to be an option that would allow us to download this file. All right, and once we've downloaded the file, we're going to put it in a place that is easily accessible to our application. So that's why we need this, an accessible data set where the ovpn file can be stored, because we need to store this file, right, before our application would have access to it. And once we do that, that is all, right? It's really, really simple. I told you, it's not really hard. So after I've gone over this many times, I hope I have been able to give you a sense of direction as to what we are going to be doing in this video. So let us start with the first thing. The first thing, of course, is we want to go to our VPN provider's website, right? So in this case, the focus is on CyberGhost, right? So let's go to CyberGhost website. To do that, I have a page already open here, CyberGhost login, right? Very original. And you can select the first option to go to CyberGhost website. So I'll click that and let's just give it a second. And here we are. Usually it's going to ask you to log in. I have already logged in. That's why it didn't ask me. But in case you see a login, just log in. Then you have on the side panel some options. What you want to choose is VPN. So I'm going to click on VPN, and as you can see, I have here all of my VPNs that have been set up. And you can see I have an option to add 2 more devices. You can also see OpenVPN US, OpenVPN UK, OpenVPN India. If you are guessing that is what I used for my multiple instances of Firefox, then you are guessing right. So that's exactly what we are going to be doing here. So we would create a new configuration. All right. Now to do that, just scroll all the way down. When you're on CyberGhost VPN, you'll see here it says manual setup. You want to select configure device. So I'm going to click on configure device, and it will take a while, but here we are. So here we are being asked some questions, right? What protocol do we want to use? Obviously, we want to select OpenVPN. Which country do we want to use? Let's use a country that we haven't used already. Let's go with let's see, a country that is popular. Let's go with France. Okay, so we go with France, and then we get an option to choose which service to choose. Sometimes you'd get 2 options, but usually I just go with premium service. So select that one. Then you have you're being asked to select the name, right? Give a name for your configuration. So I'm going to name it OpenVPN France. All right, perfect. Now you can select any of these options if you need it, but I don't need it, so I'm just going to save. So I'll save this configuration. Then immediately I save it, you can see it here. It is added here, OpenVPN France. Awesome, right? So now what we want to do is we want to click view. And when you click view, you'd see here your username and your password. So now we have the first item in our list, authentication, username and password. This is it right here. I'm going to put here username and then password. And I will just simply copy this username and put it here, and copy this password as well and put it here. So we have this information here, and we're going to be using it later on. And don't worry, I'm not going to blur this. It's fine. I'm just going to delete it after I'm done with this, just demonstrating this to you, so it's not a big deal for me. All right, now after we've copied our username and our password, the next thing we want to do is download the configuration. So I'm going to download the configuration, and let's give it a second, and there it is. So I use Internet Download Manager. For you, it's probably going to show us a regular, Chrome download. Don't worry about it. So once it has downloaded, what you want to do is you want to locate the file that has been downloaded. So as you can see, this is it. It shows OpenVPN France. OpenVPN is a zip file. It is a zip file. So what you want to do is you want to open this and extract it to a location of your choice. So I'm going to copy the contents of this file, and I'm going to go to this folder that I created. Okay, I'll create a new folder here, OpenVPN France. All right, and I'm going to paste the contents of our zip in here. Right, so as you can see, the contents of our zip is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 files, right? 4 files. Why 4 files? We only need an OVPN file. So you might think, okay, this is all I need. I don't need any of this. And you would be wrong, because actually we do need all of this. You see, if you are not on CyberGhost VPN, you would probably get only one file. And very easy. You can just take this one file and move on with the next steps. But CyberGhost does not provide one OVPN file. As you can see, they provide a lot. But the truth is, they have references within this OVPN file that refers to these items. So what are we going to do? We are going to move the content of every one of these into our OVPN file. That is what we're going to be doing. And once we do that, then we would have the same OVPN file as everyone else, like PIA, and I think Tanobe also has just one OVPN file. And then afterwards, we can proceed with the rest of the steps. So let's do that. Now, to do that, we would open every one of these files in our notepad. So just right click and then go to open with, select notepad, and then right click on this, open with notepad, right click on this, open with notepad, right click on this, open with notepad. Perfect. So now we have all of these items open right here. I have mistakenly closed one of them, so I've closed the client key. So open with notepad, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm just going to put it there so that it's just in order, right? Okay, excellent. Let me make this bigger. So this is how it is going to look. These are our files. So as you can see, when I open the OVPN file, you would see that there's a reference for CACRT, there's a reference for client CRT, and there is a reference for client.key, right? So we would take the contents of this and we'll be replacing them over here. It's going to be really simple. Just copy and paste stuff. But there is an extra step we need to take, okay? So we need to add some prefixes and some suffixes, okay? So I think I added it here. Yes. So if you look at my cheat sheet, it says for ca.crt, the prefix and suffix is this and that. For set, the prefix and suffix is set and this. So you can see here we already have the information that we need, and I'm going to show you how you're going to be putting it there. Let's start with ca.crt, this one. Okay, so we come here, we know the prefix is this, so we're going to put it on top. Just hit enter, use your cursor to go up, less than, ca, greater than. That is our prefix. So we're going to copy this and we put it at the very bottom for our suffix, and all we do is we add a slash, and this is it right here. Then we can go to client.crt, and what is our prefix and suffix for that? Let's go back here. For client.crt, our prefix and suffix is less than, set, greater than. We just put a slash for the other, right? So I can just copy this because I'm really lazy and then come here, put my cursor here, go up, put enter, go all the way here, and then put a slash here as well. We're done. Now the last one is going to be client.key, and then the prefix and suffix is key. So we're going to put key in there. I'm going to type this one this time. All right, so I'll hit enter, less than, key, greater than, right? Oh, not k, key. All right, awesome. And I'll copy this and I'll put this as the suffix, and then put a slash in here, and perfect. So we've done this for every one of them. CA, set, key. Excellent. So what we will do now is we're going to copy these contents and then put it in our OVPN file. So let's just copy this and then go to our OVPN file, and that is for, wait, let me just confirm. Yes, that's CA. So we're going to put that over this. So highlight this, CA, and then paste. So we have our first item pasted. Now let's go to client, and that is set. So we copy and then we go here and then we paste it right over this, paste, and then finally we go to key. Now same thing with key as well, just copy everything and then copy this and we put it right on top of that. Excellent. So now we have everything copied in our OVPN file. We can now go on ahead and save our file. So we can save all of these as well. It's just easier to close it when you've saved it, so just closing all of them. All right, excellent. So we have our ovpn file. This is the same file that guys who have PIA VPN would get when they download their ovpn file. They'll just get a single ovpn file, and this is how it is going to be. We have successfully converted our CyberGhost configuration to a single ovpn file. Congratulations, right? That's amazing. So now we need to do one more thing before this file is ready. Okay, we need to disable IPv6. Why, you must ask, right? The thing is, IPv6 is not really needed, and it tends to create problems in TrueCharts. So it's just easier to just disable it in your VPN configuration file so that it doesn't create issues for you later. Now, to do that is very simple. All you need to do is just copy this information, right? Pull, filter, ignore ifconfig IPv6 and whatever is right here. You copy that, and you would go to your ovpn file right on top of CA, just put an enter and then put it in there like this. That is all you need to do, and you need to do this even if you are with PIA, right? Because PIA doesn't have this in there, or other VPN providers who do not provide multiple files do not necessarily have this in there. So you still need to put it in there, okay? So you put this in there, and don't worry, I would put this in my video description. All you have to do is just copy and then just paste it. And whilst you are doing that, please like the video, and if you enjoy anything that has to do with computers or home networking, please subscribe to my channel. You would get awesome videos coming soon. You're gonna love them, okay? So please do that. Okay, excellent. So now we have everything set up successfully. I'm so excited. So now we can save our file. I'm gonna save it right here. So we are done. I can close it, and what I would do is I'm gonna change the name. Okay, I'll change this to France. All right, so France ovpn. So we are done with our second item. So now we have our first item, we have our second item, and we have our fourth item, because remember, this one is the easiest anyways, right? So the only thing we need now is an accessible data set where our ovpn file can be stored. And this is very important, right? Because how is our application going to access the ovpn file? Okay, so what that means is we need to create a data set. So if I go here, you would notice that I have a VPN data set created. That is where I put all of my my ovpn files that I used for this. Okay, but I want to show you how to do it from scratch. So what I would do is I am going to create a new data set. All right, so in order to make the steps very easy to follow, clean and straight to the point, what I had to do is I deleted my previous data set that I used for my previous projects, right? And I've also deleted all of my apps. Sad face. It's completely fine. I'll do them again, no worries at all. So what we are going to be focusing on next is the only thing we need to do. We want to move our ovpn file to our application. So we need a data set. So to create a data set is really simple. It's very important that you make sure you do everything right so that it works. Okay, so let us create a data set. So to create a data set, you select the pool that you want to add a data set to, and click add a data set, and you can name it. So I'm going to name this VPN 5. Okay, VPN 5, and I'm going to leave everything to be default and click save. Okay, now you have to remember that what do we need this VPN folder for? We need it so that our application can access the ovpn file, meaning our application should have the authority, should have the permission to access this folder. Now the easiest way to do that is to change the permissions for the data set. I keep calling it a folder. It's very much like a folder. It even has an icon like a folder. Please don't judge me. Anyways, you want to change the permissions so that the user is application. So I clicked on edit permissions, and up here I'm going to change this to apps, and down here I'm going to change it to apps as well. So we've changed the user to applications, and we have changed the group to applications as well. So you make sure you check these and you apply the changes recursively. Now what this would mean is any other folder that is under this particular directory is going to have the same permissions applied to it. Now there is one more thing you want to do here. Make sure you check all of these boxes. Now the reason why you want to do that is this folder also serves a second purpose. It is not only going to exist for our applications to access it, it is also going to exist for us to copy the ovpn file to it. So we need to make sure that other has read and write access, so that when we eventually share this folder over SMB, we would be able to access it. Okay, all right, excellent. So we have all of these checked, and then I can click save, and then that is it. We are done with that. Okay, now we want to copy our ovpn file to this folder. So we want to share this folder as this data set as an SMB share. So we go to the left on the side, we select shares. Then up here, we're going to click on Windows SMB shares and click add, right? So over here, we're going to put the path that we want to put on the SMB share. So click on this, click on that, and select our VPN5 folder or dataset, and we just click save. And that is it, right? So it would give you a prompt to restart the SMB service, or if the SMB service isn't already running, it would give you a prompt to start it. So I'll click restart. So our SMB share has restarted. Now it's going to give you all of these. You don't need to change anything here, all right? All you need to do is just click apply recursively and apply permissions to child data sets, and then just save access control list. And once you do that, you are done. So we are done. Our folder is now accessible over SMB. Now SMB makes it so that we can find this folder on our Windows network. So I'm going to go to our file explorer, and on the left panel I will scroll all the way down, and you can see I have TrueNAS here, right? Or you can click on network and you see TrueNAS here. I open it and you can see VPN5. So this is it. VPN5 is exactly where we want to put our ovpn file. So I'm going to go to wherever I saved my ovpn file, right? The easiest way to do that is just go back, and this is it, right? So I can copy it and then go forward, and then just paste it here. And we have our ovpn file right here, france.ovpn. So we are done with all of our steps. We have our authentication username and password right here. We have already configured our ovpn file. We have moved it to an accessible data set, and we already have this information. So we are ready to finalize our steps. This is awesome. Isn't this exciting, right? So we can go to our application and then add all the information in there. But there is one last very important step that we need to take before we can do this. We need to disable SMB share. So we need to disable our SMB share on this VPN5 dataset. Let's go on ahead and do that. So we go to, remember, shares, and under SMB, you can see the dataset here. Just disable it. This is very important, because if you don't do this, and you try to access the ovpn file through your application, the application would fail to deploy, and it could be fatal. I've had situations where the application wouldn't just recover anymore just because I tried to do that. So please make sure you disable SMB share on your data set before you go on ahead to add the configuration. So we are done with everything. We need the path for our ovpn file, right? The quickest way to get that is go to your shares, and you see this file, you click on it, and the path is right here. So just copy this path and let's paste it here. Okay, so we've copied the path, and that is good, and now we are ready. Awesome. Okay, so now let us go to our config. I'm just going to click on these three buttons, click on edit, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. It doesn't need to be this small, right? So let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, excellent. All right, and we are going to add our changes now. Because VPN is all the way down, I'm going to use Control F to find the configuration. Okay, Control F VPN, and then I find it immediately. Excellent. So what we will do now is enable OpenVPN. So let's select OpenVPN. Excellent. Now we need authentication username. I promise I'm not going to say excellent again. Authentication username. You can copy the username right here, paste it here. we have the option for the password. So we copy the password, paste it here as well. And then enable kill switch is always going to be on default checked. Let's add 2 instances. IPv4 network 1, we would copy this, right? Put it here. Remove everything that is in numbers and a dot, okay? And then we remove this, put a 0/24. You repeat the same steps, okay? Copy the IP, remove the last 3 digits or 1 digit or whatever is after the last point, and replace it with a 0, a slash, and then a 24. And as for this, our Kubernetes IP, you can copy the same thing here. I'll keep it in my description so you can see it, and then you paste it here as well. So we are done with that. Now finally, we need our config file. Now remember, this is the path to our data set where we place the config file. Remember the name of our config file. It is ovpn. Okay, so we just add that here, and then I'll copy this and I will put that in here, and we are done. So all we need to do now is just save this, and we give it a moment for it to deploy. And once it deploys, we should be able to run our test to check what our one IP address is. And that IP address should be different from what I had earlier on in the video when I ran the same code for you. And there's the same step for whatever TrueCharts application you're using, whether you're using Qubit Torrent or using Radar or Sonar. I wouldn't know why you would want to run those on a VPN, but hey, if that's what you want, you can go on ahead and do that. But it applies to all of them. They all follow the same steps. So we're just going to give a moment for this to start. Sometimes it takes a while. All right, perfect. Our application is done. It has deployed. Amazing. We can open to see if it works. Great, it works now, right? So let's see what our IP is. What is my IP? Okay. Oh, now we have to do a captcha. Oh my. Never mind. We're gonna do it really quickly. So I'm just gonna click this bicycle, and done. Yay, I'm amazing. I'm not a robot. Okay, excellent. We can just do, oh, everything is in French. Oh my god. Yeah. We know it is working because everything is in French. As you can see, our prompt from Google was in French, and our IP has changed. So we have successfully been able to add VPN to our app, right? And if you are not using a browser like I'm using, the way to check if you've been successful is to click on these 3 buttons, click on Shell, click on Choose, and you're going to be in here. Unfortunately, I am having an error, but all you want to do in here is to type curl space ip.me. So I'm going to put that in here, curl ip.me. So this error sometimes happens, and I honestly don't know what causes it. If there is anybody in the comment section who knows what causes this problem, I'll be really happy if you can help me understand what causes it. Yeah, but if you're using a browser app like the way like the Firefox I have open right now, you can just go to the browser and then search for what is my IP, and you would know that it worked. However, if you are using something like Qubit Torrent or any other application, you want to go to Shell, you want to go to Choose, and you shouldn't have this error, right? You should have the opportunity to put in your code, and all you need to do is put in curl ip.me, and that would give you your IP address, and you can compare it to what you had earlier on, and that would tell you if your VPN is successful. And yeah, so that is it for our video. We have successfully added CyberGhost VPN to our TrueCharts application. I bet you clicked this video because you needed help, right? So it's about time you return that favor by liking the video if it has been helpful to you, subscribing if you love learning new stuff about computers and networking. And this is Tip the Tech Guy. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.